following was produced for the Emergency School Aid Act, San Diego City Schools, Community Relations Division.
Hello, and welcome to San Diego People. San Diego is a large city with a rich and diverse cultural heritage. This series of programs takes a closer look at the people within the different ethnic communities of our city. Today's program focuses on the Hellenes. Hellas is the ancient name for Greece. Therefore, Hellene refers to people of Greek ancestry. Although diverse and sparsely populated, San Diego's Greek residents are energetic participants in city and county functions. Our purpose is to provide a glimpse of the community in order to better understand, appreciate, and share traditions and values. I'm Antonia Simakopoulos, and I'll be your host for this edition of San Diego People, the Hellenes. Greek people to come to America arrived with the Spanish explorers in the early 16th century. By the 19th century, Greek immigrants began to settle throughout the United States. Many traveled west and worked on railroad gangs, while others found work in mining towns like Salt Lake City, Utah. The United States witnessed the largest and most significant arrival of Greeks from 1900 to 1920, when over 400,000 left Greece for the United States. Greek men left their villages in large numbers due to crop failures resulting in acute poverty conditions for most in Greece. Political upheaval in Turkey, where many Greeks lived, also contributed to an increase in Hellenic immigrants. The men usually came to the United States first and made preparations for their families to follow. The language barrier proved to be one of the new immigrants' greatest problems. In many cases, it forced the newly arrived Greeks to take the lowest paying jobs. To add to their problems, they faced harassment and ridicule. Greeks were at the bottom of the immigrant ladder, encountering prejudice from nativists as well as from other immigrants who had settled here for only a slightly longer time. Greeks faced all kinds of discrimination, ranging from snubs and insults to violent anti-Greek riots. It was during the late 19th century that Hellenes began to settle in San Diego, although most arrived in the early 20th century. These men and women were responsible for the establishment of the Greek community. Through the closeness of family units and the formal organization of the Greek Orthodox Church, the early pioneers managed to transplant their cherished traditions and culture. Peter Stamatopoulos, one of San Diego's Hellenic pioneers, and his goddaughter, Bila Masterakos, recalled the early Greek residents of the city.
The type of jobs that the early Greek immigrant had were the very first ones that were available to them that they could work with without having a language problem, I would say, was bootblacking, and quite a few had little shoe shine stands. That was the very first for most. From that, as things got a little better for them, they bought trucks, and then they started with their produce.
Demosthenes de Mangos was one of the first Greeks to settle in San Diego. He came from the East Coast in 1893 and became a truck farmer. The Mangos prospered and sent for his two brothers, George and James, who opened a restaurant on 5th and Market Streets. Many of the early Hellenes established family proprietorships in San Diego. George Balaban came to San Diego from Turkey in 1910. He made a living by selling fresh fish. In 1912, his brother joined him. Later, each opened a store on Market Street. Sam Marinos started a produce business which supplied local markets and restaurants with fresh fruits and vegetables. He came to the United States as a young man, and by the 1920s was a very successful and prosperous businessman. San Diego's Hellenic community owes a great debt to pioneer families who migrated to this country, searching for a better life. Mr. George Polis, an active San Diegan at 90 years of age, recalls the reasons he emigrated to the United States.
There was a fever in Greece at that time about America, and that was a land of opportunity. An uncle of mine sent me a $1 bill, those big ones. And it made such impression on me, I says, I'm going to make some of them dollars. Anyway, we were not accepted. And that treatment later on forced us to create an organization for our defense, the Order of AHEPA, which means American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, of which I'm proud to say that I'm past district governor. And of course, it was the early years of our immigration here, and its purpose was to teach the members the English language, to teach them to stand on their 2 feet and express their opinions with respect to the others, and to become good citizens. That was the purpose of the AHEPA. And today we have...
The Generalis family came to the United States in 1897 and settled in Lowell, Massachusetts. Today, Dr. Minos Generalis is a professor of history and political science at National University.
If you speak to a Greek, you'll find in his background a very powerful influence emanating from antiquity. There isn't a Greek that I know or have met, here or abroad, who isn't very, very conscious of that backdrop of his own community life. He has great respect, admiration for this backdrop, and would like to feel that he is a continuation of that same tradition.
Some of the values and characteristics which are a part of the Greek family tradition include a patriarchal family structure, a collective and close-knit unit, an emphasis upon discipline, work, education and achievement, a reverence for the Greek customs, and an active participation in the Greek church and community. The Priovoulos typify a contemporary Greek family. Peter Priovoulos is a first-generation Greek American.
My mother and father are both immigrants. They came to America, like so many other immigrants, to find a better life. My father is from the mainland of Greece in an area called Tripoli, which is in a state called Arcadia. My mother is from Constantinople, which is now called Istanbul and is under the Turkish government. I think probably the number one characteristic would be that a Greek male tends to have a great feeling of pride for his family and is extremely concerned about their well-being. Perhaps in some circles one might say overly protective, that his home is his castle and his family, his children, his wife are his pride and joy.
Aici fac mărturie daddy, all Christmas to take place, his art keeps from Amen.
It is very typical, I think, for Greek males, and perhaps I'm speaking primarily for myself, but for Greek males to stress to their children the importance of an education. And it seems as each year goes by and the more complex our world becomes, education is the foundation for everything we do. We also take our children to Greek school in order for them to maintain the language of their ancestors.
I think Greek schools are very important because it sort of keeps up tradition. And I've got lots of relatives back in Greece, and we write to them a lot, sort of keep in touch. And I think it's very important to write and read and speak Greek. The more languages you can speak, it's like the more people you are.
To a Greek person, dancing is almost a way of life. It's an expression of the various moods they're in. It expresses their joy, their sadness. It helps them perhaps to relate to others or to tell others how they feel. They tie us to our ancestral background and bring us a certain joy, certain contentment in our life, and help us tie our traditions. One of the projects that we've been involved in the family has been spearheaded by my wife, is a garden. We're growing some cucumbers, and the seeds from those cucumbers came from my father's village farm. And so the kids are kind of excited that here is a vegetable that they're growing that came from their grandfather's farm in the old country.
Greek parents instill in their children a fundamental desire to achieve in school. Education is a strong force in the Hellenic home. Xanthi Jonas is a reflection of the fulfillment of her immigrant parents' dream for success in school. Xanthi completed 3 years of high school in a little over a year.
When I entered the 10th grade at Patrick Henry, I was not at all happy with the curriculum which was offered to me. That's when I decided I would attend a private school after classes ended each day at Henry. So I enrolled at Mitchell Boyden High School in downtown. So I attended Henry from 8 to 2 in the afternoon, and afterwards I would go to Mitchell Boyden, where I took classes from 2 to 6 in the evening. I also took classes at La Jolla Country Day School during their summer accelerated programs. At age 17, my brother Thomas was accepted to the Medical University of South Carolina, And in 1975, at age 21, he graduated the youngest doctor in the United States. Currently, he is chief resident of cardiovascular surgery at Tulane University, and he's the author of several medical textbooks. Tom has been a great inspiration to me, and he's been an excellent example for me to follow. My goal is to become a medical attorney at age 23. My brother and I are very proud of our Greek heritage. We love our parents very much, and we are very grateful for all that they've done for us. Our parents have always impressed the importance of education and the need to vigorously pursue the goals which we set for ourselves. I believe that it is this upbringing that has led to our scholastic achievements.
Dr. David Chigos, founder and president of National University, typifies the Hellenic emphasis placed on higher education. Central to the continuation of Hellenic culture is the Greek Orthodox Church. The Church has always been in the forefront of American Greek communities. This institution, combined with that of the family, allowed for the transplantation of the Hellenic culture from Greece to America. Religion was likewise the common denominator for the early Greek settlers in San Diego. They would rent space in community halls in order to hold religious services. Through the efforts and sacrifice of the small Greek community, San Diego's first Greek Orthodox church was built in 1927. Today, religion is still the most important aspect of Hellenic culture and plays a central role in the Greek community. On the Epiphany, families gather for services, which are conducted at Mission Bay. Young men await traditional blessings of the waters by the priest, who casts a cross into the bay. The lucky young man who retrieves it receives a special blessing. Tradition says that good luck will follow him throughout the year. The most solemn of Greek holidays occurs during Holy Week, the week preceding Easter. The mournful ceremony on Good Friday centers around the Epitaphios, a flowered-decked tomb. The evening ceremonies involve the entire parish in a candlelight procession around the church to commemorate the death of Christ. A festive picnic on Easter Sunday is a tradition. The day opens with a short religious service, which is concluded by the priest giving red-dyed Easter eggs to parishioners, chanting, Christos Anesti, Christ is risen. Each year, the Greek community sponsors a grand ball to raise funds for the development and perpetuation of the San Diego Hellenic Center. The Hellenic Ball is a tradition in San Diego. Cultural Center has long been a dream of the Greek community. The center is maintained as a way of preserving pride in Hellenic heritage and culture. The center is open to the entire San Diego community. Many Greek parishes around the nation sponsor bazaars to help finance programs within the community. The Greek festivals have become a tradition in San Diego. Everyone shares in the fellowship and festive atmosphere that turns San Diego into a Greek island. The booths feature imports, crafts, and foods. One of the most popular concessions is the pastry counter. Baklava is one of the most noted of Greek pastries. Its preparation is a time-consuming and intricate process. Most Greek pastries require a great deal of time to prepare, but the ladies who unselfishly volunteer their time would argue that it is a simple labor of love. Greek Americans form the largest Hellenistic community outside Greece itself. Although American Greeks maintain strong attachments to Greece, their loyalty to the United States is unquestioned. American Greeks, through their dedication to traditional values, are a positive force in contemporary American society. Although the preservation of a cultural heritage is important, to the Hellenes, it is equally important to contribute to the betterment of our total society. If there is but one dream of Greek parents, it is that their children will emulate the past and surpass its achievements in the future.